Okay, today is December 17th, 2025. The time is 10:32 a.m. And let's get started with today's video. Missed the past couple of days because for no real reason, other than, I guess I was busy, but oh shoot, I needed to my hat. Let me just do this really quick. Is it catalytic? Yeah, it's catalytic. There we go. Now, yeah, there isn't much to talk about today. Well, if there's any reason for my absence the past 2 days, it was probably because of this interview I had scheduled, but I didn't even go. I wound up rescheduling it, my interview, so I could appear more punctual to the prospective employer. Fortunately, I did have other obligations that kind of kept me from showing up on time, so that's kind of what happened. Lately, my punctuality has been, or my attentive, or my tendency to be punctual had taken a hit since I had stopped working once I started working at a different industry. That being it's hard to explain my experiences over at whatever I did for the past 2 years. I think it has been about 2 years. As a matter of no, it's been a little longer than 2 years, or a year, and there's just something about working in a larger company that makes me feel more engaged in and I didn't actually experience something like that in a very long time, and working in that position kind of helped me to understand what type of worker I am. But obviously I have my limits, and that limit that involved a back injury, actually. Kind of spoke to me, saying, hey, yeah, this is enough. You've done your job. You've made a commitment to staying there for 2 years, but you can't keep that commitment, and maybe it's time to leave. That's kind of what happened. That was what my body felt like it was telling me. I had actually reached my physical limit in being able to work in that particular position, and yes, it was a physical job. I'm trying to hide what industry it was in, so to not draw any negative attention toward that particular industry, which is already under siege from being replaced by AI. But either way, I'm it's just that feeling more energized and having a greater capacity to work challenging positions, work in challenging, do work that is a little more challenging in a different way. It's kind of helping gain some perspective on how it seems that higher functioning people seem to operate and work. I never considered myself a high functioning or high performing individual. I always thought I was kind of like the average of the bunch, and well, I hate to beat around the bush any longer than I already have, so I guess I'll just say what industry I was working in, and without glaring, it was the restaurant industry, this food and beverage industry. I gave the entire industry a bunch of hate, but I was ultimately wrong in doing so, having done so, because I never felt more welcome in a single business than I ever had been out of my entire working career, I suppose. It opened more opportunities for me to be able to express myself in ways that I hadn't done before, such as with just expressing myself through sharing music and stuff, in the dish pit, but where I worked primarily, was able to in fact just be able to be heard and stuff, so it was nice. It was nice for sure. Obviously, working in that particular industry kind of had its drawbacks, and I wish I hadn't paid so close attention to those things, but yeah, the past 2 days I've been kind of working on I suppose personal projects and stuff, not necessarily video journaling, but I did some more coding the other day. I intend to resume my study sessions after this video. Need to continue learning JavaScript. can attempt to recall with you, like I can attempt to recite, I suppose, what I had learned over the past few days, and most of it was kind of like with variables and inputting lines of code, like with like declaration commands such as like let and stuff, console.log and whatnot. Let kind of seems to allow a variable which is depicted in which is not depicted, but like is inputted with a some sort of I suppose it can start with a I don't know, I wish I had my notes with me right now, but I can certainly go to the website in which I use to better explain this to you. Let's sign in first. Okay, so I just got started with learning about strings, it appears, and I got an introduction to JavaScript over the past few days, and what was an interesting part of the lessons I kind of got? It wasn't this necessarily. I think it was the third lesson out of the 4 about the about JavaScript. Okay, so console.log is appears to be a function that outputs information to the console. Okay, so it's essentially used as some sort of debugger, it appears. Anyways, the variables must start with I think camel case was briefly mentioned in like how you can denote naming variables, or denote the act of naming variables, I suppose. That's one way of looking at it. And variables in JavaScript must begin with a letter, an underscore, or $sign. Cannot start with a number. So variables such as like, I think the most commonly used example in the array of variables that we received was in fact age, all in lower caps, and some other examples that they used but did not, some examples that they provided but did not necessarily input into code was underscore age and $sign total, all in lower caps as well. And I think the important takeaway with this one here is to make sure that these variables do not start with a number. I have yet to know why they cannot start with a number, but can certainly understand to a degree why that would be the case. I can't actually, I absolutely cannot understand why that would be the case. But yeah, it's still cool regardless. I suppose it's cool. But yeah, so if they can start with an uppercase letter, it appears, the variables, but they cannot necessarily be cannot necessarily be what is it? Can't start with a number is what I'm trying to say. And if you were to input, say, age with all lower caps and another age with a capital A beginning of age, they would input different variables. And so with that in mind, if you were to have two characters, like for example, in a console, to depict different ages of two characters in, say, a story or in a world you're trying to build, it would be important to underline the fact that these are different ages of two different people, and to denote that, you would have to capitalize one of the A's. That would be the easiest way to do it, or put a number, I'm assuming, at the end of age to denote two distinct ages of the players in question. So, so say you have a time skip or something throughout and the character grows older. The command let would the keyword let would allow you to update that variable later on. I'm assuming sometime later in the code. And yeah, I think that's how it's kind of depicted essentially, is when it's input into the code here. So that's not a valid score. Okay, so when inputting variable names, I think it's also important. It says here in the notes, in lecture notes, that should avoid special characters like the @ sign and the exclamation point. So when inputting values into the code, someone won't be. No, it just makes the code look cleaner, it appears. Maybe it'll result in an undefined execution, I suppose. In JavaScript. That's only exclusively in JavaScript appears. Let me see here. I think with that in mind, I think I can do this here. Okay, I just redid the multiple choice questions on freecodecamp.org, and it appears I got the questions right on the lesson that I was most intrigued by, that I learned so far. It appears the let keyword is very important in JavaScript, at least in this beginning stages with what I'm digesting here. So it appears that let can declare variables. Console.log will output that information to the console, and there's one more assign. There's one more character that's depicted as an equal sign, primarily through the code that I've consumed earlier on. It appears that the equal sign is the one that assigns the value to the variable in which you are able to let's see. Okay. So one line, the first line of code would be let age equal 25. The equal sign is the one that assigns, or is that reassigns, or no, it's an assignment operator. It's an assignment operator, okay. So the equal sign is the assignment operator, and 25 is the value of the variable. So on the next line, separated of course by a semicolon at the end of the first line, you would then type console.log age in parentheses, semicolon. Age is in parentheses here. Okay. I guess we can go on to the next lesson here. Review the next one. Okay, so the name of this lesson is how do let and const work differently. When it comes to the variable declaration, assignment, and reassignment. Okay, so let's see here. So let's is declaring the variable score, which assigns the value of score to be 10, and inputting out in order to output the value of score, you put console.log, and in parentheses you put score, and then another line where score is assigned a value 20, so the final score would be 20 rather than 10 after inputting a variable with a initial variable score and assigned a value of 10. Okay. I think I like it. Now, what does const mean? Const means is used to declare variables that are constants. Const is short for constant. Once you assign a value to a variable declared with constant, you cannot reassign it. Suppose that would be going for something like in RuneLite, for example, or in RuneScape, where max level is 99. Or in this case, in the case of the example that the console is provided to us, constant max score. Max score is the variable assigned a value of 100 semicolon. Separate another line. It's console.log parentheses, open parentheses, max score, close parentheses, semicolon, would output a value of 100 because the max score is assigned a value of 100. Okay, I think I like it. I like what I'm seeing here. Constant variable and the let variable are both able to declare variables, but one of the two is used to declare variables that are constants. Cannot reassign variables that are constants. Okay, I think I'm gonna go up to 30k today because I'm close to a level actually, and I wanted to create more day alts or create more Aether runes. I wanted to put in some work in regards to rune crafting and the current flow of Aether runes into the market, so I think I'll just stop it here when I reach 30k. So I can also do a little more coding on my own. Of course, doing this in repetition has kind of led me to understanding that there are obviously diminishing returns into. There are obviously so many diminishing returns in like doing this constantly for 50k, and post 99 XP will kind of like suck at the end of the day. So let me just do this last trip and I'll end the video so I can code a little bit more. I think one of these days I'll kind of like have this window that I'm looking at open on the side so you can see what I'm looking at exactly. But anyways, that's it for today's video. I've got 30k done. That's all I could have done. I just need to preoccupy myself with something that feels a little more productive, with greater returns than just simply crafting nature runes. 10,000 nature runes I think is enough, you know. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed today's video if you made it this far. I hope you have a great day.